starting Chodesh Adar, Adar Sheni, and Adar is the month of Mechiat Amalek. The question has to be asked, why is Mechiat Amalek, the mitzvah of Mechiat Amalek, specifically in this month of Adar? The Torah writes, the name of his brother Rabbeinu Yechiel, that the 12 months of the year really are connected the Yud Bet Shvatim, against the 12 Shvatim, and Chodesh Adar is the Chodesh of Yosef. That's why, Dafka, we have two sons of Yosef. The Shevet of Yosef is split into two, and so too Adar sometimes, like this year, is split into two. We have Menashe and Ephraim, and we have Adar Rishon and Adar Sheni, both coming from Yosef. Yosef is the tzaddik. Tzaddik Yesod Olam. In other words, in the Sfirot, the Midah of Yesod is the Midah of Yosef. He is Yesod Olam. And what is the Midah of Yesod? The Midah of Yesod has within its power to turn every physical action into something ruchani, into something spiritual. Now Yosef is a very different type of tzaddik. He's not the type of tzaddik that's sitting in the Beit Midrash. His tzidkut comes to the fore in the house next to Eshet Potiphar. He's not the one who's steiging away in the Beis Medrash. Lehefech. He's the one where his tzidkut comes in the middle of the most physical type of actions, in the most physical place, Eretz Mitzrayim. Amalek, on the other hand, his mahalach, so to speak, what does he want to do, is to separate the ruchaniyut, the spirituality, from the gashmiyut, from the physicality. While Yosef wants to bring the two together, Amalek, he desires to separate the two. Kedusha, we know, is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual. Amalek fights against that Kedusha. Asher karcha baderech. Karcha milashon keri. Milashon tuma. Amalek was also the one who takes the orlot and threw it klape malo. He took the orlot and tried to throw it up to Shamayim to show Kedusha doesn't belong down on this world. It belongs in heaven. It belongs in Shamayim. This world, total gashmiyut. No ruchaniyut in this world. That's what Amalek wants. His job, so to speak, his motive, or his what he desires to do, is to separate the gashmiyut from the ruchaniyut. The purpose of the milchama with Amalek is to show that the two can actually work together. Amalek wants to have that the ruchaniyut has no power over the gashmiyut, and we, through the means of Yosef, want to bridge the two together. Amalek is the grandson of Esav. Yosef is the antagonist of Esav. Yaakov stays in Chutz La'aretz until Yosef is born. Only when Yosef is born is he able to come back to Eretz Yisrael. Now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to deal with Esav. Esav also has this midah. And we also find that Yoshua, a descendant of Esav, he is a descendant of Yosef. He's the one who's chosen to fight against Amalek. Yosef against Amalek. Amalek is the midah of Esav. We all know the story in Gemara Sota. Yaakov comes, is brought to be buried in Ma'arat HaMachpelah, and who's there? Esav wants to stop the Shvatim from burying Yaakov in Ma'arat HaMachpelah. He says, listen, there were two kvarim here. Yaakov took one, he buried Leah, the other one's for me. And the Shvatim told him, but you sold it. He said, I sold it, bring me a shtar. So they send Naphtali back to Mitzrayim to go get the shtar. And one of the sons of Dan, Chushim ben Dan, who was hard of hearing, he asks what's going on here, and they say that this one, we want to bury our grandfather Yaakov, but this guy, Esav, is ma'akev. He's not letting us. So Chushim says, until Naphtali goes to Mitzrayim and comes back, Yehei avi abba mutal bizayon, nothing doing. He takes a sword and he chops off the head of Esav, and Chazal say that the head of Esav rolls into Ma'arata Machpelah and is buried with all the other great avot of Klal Yisrael. What is the message that Chazal are trying to say here? That the head of Esav is in Ma'arata Machpelah. In other words, the head of Esav belonged in Ma'arata Machpelah. He had great akara. He saw great things. He saw Nisim. He saw Malachim. He saw Avram Avinu. His head belonged in Ma'arata Machpelah. But his guf didn't have a visa to come into Ma'arata Machpelah. It was as if his head was chopped off and separated from his guf. His guf was totally physical. And his head really was on a very high level, but there was no connection between the two. And that is why we have this midah of Esav, the midah of pirud, the midah of separation between the kedusha, between the ruchaniyut and the gashmiyut, and that's Amalek. Amalek wants to make sure that the warmth of the lave does not have any hashpah on the rosh. Asher karcha baderech. He was mekarer. He made things cold. He made the ruchaniyut into something cold. Mashal to a bathtub, an ambatya chama, say Chazal, that he jumped in and he cooled it off. All that great hitlahavut of Klal Yisrael coming out of Mitzrayim, he cooled it off. He cooled it down to make sure that it wouldn't have a hashpah on the ruchaniyut of the rest of the world. Amalek is also milashon malika. Malika is like shchita, to chop off the head, to separate the head from the guf. The difference between malika and shchita is that malika is from the back of the head, mul ha'oref, and that's the derech of the fight of Amalek, that he comes min ha'oref, vayizanev becha kol hanechshalim, that he comes from the zanav, from the tail, from the back, instead of frontally, almost like a coward. Kiyad al keis ka milchama l'Hashem ba'amalek. Ein Hashem shalem, ve'ein hakisei shalem, ad shimachesh shmo shel Amalek. Today, now, the shame is not shalem, it's not whole. Why? Because we have a yud hey and a vav hey. Kiyad al keis ka. La'atid lavo. The yud hey and the vav hey will come together. But that will only be after the mechia of Amalek. What's the yud hey and what's the vav hey? They explain that the vav hey is really the more ruchani part of man. It is what is romez to the neshama and the chachma in a person's mind, the ruchani in man. And the yud hey is really marames to the guf and the maisa, the physical in man. The idea is that all inyanim of ruchaniyut actually have a vav hey in it. We find Torah, avodah, kedusha, and all the inyanim of gashmiyut have in it the letters of yud hey, achila, shtiya, shena. Those are all physical things. The yud hey is the physical in man. The vav hey is the spiritual in man. The chibor between the two will happen when the yud hey and the vav hey come together. And that is when we'll be on the level to have the chibur of the ruchni and the gashmi. That's going to happen when we get rid of the separation that Amalek tries to do. The cooling off and the separation of the physical from the spiritual. The letters of tshuva also have this remes. Tashev, tshuva means tashev vav hey. We're going to try and bring back the vav hey towards the guf. The vav hey is the neshama to the guf, which is marumas by the letters yud hey. When they'll be together, that will be a shleimut, a perfection in avodat Hashem. Amalek tries to separate between these two. Yosef, on the other hand, tries to bring these two together. That is the idea of Yesod. That's the midah of Yesod. He wants to bring the two together, and therefore it's most fitting that the mechia of Amalek should be done Davka in this month of Adar, the month of Yosef HaTzadik. I want to wish everyone a Mishanichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha, a very Sameach month of Adar, a very Sameach month of Adar, months really of Adar and Nisan, Chodshei Geula, Mishanichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha, a Purim Sameach to everyone and your families. Mirz Hashem, you should be coming back here and being able to celebrate Purim, Pesach, together here in Eretz Yisrael, B'meher V'yameinu, everyone together.